Hello, everybody. Dieter Bohn with WM Experts back for the final round of the round robin, and here I am back on the fuse with HTC on AT&T, and very happy to be here. I'm not going to belabor some of the stuff that you've already seen with the fuse. You've seen it on the other round robin sites, and of course you've seen it here. So I just want to go through a few things that, well, frankly, some of the other folks at the other sites didn't enjoy about the fuse, and talk about addressing them and talk about why I really like this device. Of course, no discussion of the fuse is complete without a discussion of TouchFlow 3D. So let's zoom in just a hair and talk about it. Now, it is, as Renee pointed out, not quite as intuitive as it might be, although I managed to do all right with it. It just takes a minute to learn, and then once you do, you can get all of your stuff. In fact, we can even show you all the cool weather animations if you want to see them all. The big issue, though, seemed to be touchscreen sensitivity and how it wasn't as good as it ought to be. And I will grant that the touchscreen sensitivity on this device is nothing compared to a capacitive touchscreen, but it's pretty good. And I also am told that it's actually not even as good as the Touch HD, the European version of this device. That's even better. So that might be something we could blame on AT&T. But I'm pretty happy. Now the email section, of course, you can only see a little tiny bit of it, but that's not too bad. The one part I do agree with people on is this music section of TouchFlow. It is pretty poor. Not really a fan. Up and down, and you're going up and down to scroll left and right. That's not very intuitive. You can, if you're not careful about your swipes and your taps, accidentally open something instead of, swiping, which can be a pain. But it's a gorgeous screen, and it really brings out some of the good qualities of Windows Mobile. But what I want to talk about specifically with the Fuse is some of the things that I've done to improve it. And one of those things actually is, as much as I like TouchFlow 3D and as pretty as I think it is, in terms of being productive, it's not quite there for me. I'm willing to give up some of the eye candy in order to be productive. So yes, let's whip out the stylus and let's head into settings here. There's actually several ways to do it, but we're going to do it this way. And let's go to the Today Screen settings. Today Screen is one of my favorite things about Windows Mobile. And we'll tap on Items, and we are going to scroll all the way down, turn off TouchFlow 3D, and we're going to turn on the stuff that I do use every day on my settings. I like to have a date field. I'm a huge fan of SPB Mobile Shell. I like having a Google search field. I like having my calendar, my messages. I don't usually do this, but heck, I'll even put my tasks on there, even though I might be enabling the dreaded scroll bar by turning that on. And we'll call that pretty good. And we'll give it a moment to rebuild the touch screen, or the Today screen. And there it is. And so you can see here, well, actually a couple things. With SPB Mobile Shell, when I turn on the device from nothing, I get this useful version of the Today screen, which has got the time, my messages, a little weather tab, and my calendar appointments, and I can even tap on the weather to get more details on that. Tap on messages directly. I can directly turn it into silent or whatnot. I can even flip left and right to get to this great SPB menu, which gives me huge thumb buttons to get at the different things that I want to do on the device. Lots and lots of stuff here. And then I even got more photo speed dials there. But back to the Today screen. I've got very similar functionality. I've got a quick launch of programs. I've got the weather. I've got the time. More speed dials. And it also displays messages if I've got them, how many I've got. It tells me how many tasks I've got undone. I've got my next calendar appointment. And I've even got a Google search, so I can flip out this little guy here. Go to the Google search. And start searching quickly and easily. And of course, naturally, I search for WM Experts, and it loads it up in Opera Mobile 9, which again I'm pretty happy with. And we can go take a look at WM Experts. And you can even see how Opera 9 loads up our brand new look and feel. And we're doing this over 3G, not over Wi-Fi, so that might explain a bit of the slowness. But hey, Opera seems to render the new site pretty darn well. Once it gets loaded, that is. I've got JavaScript on, which tends to slow things down. So there's that. So my Today screen is quite a bit simpler than your standard Today screen. The other thing I want to point out is that everybody mentioned all these shortcut buttons, just a ton of buttons on this thing. But once you get these, they're really good, and it really speeds up your use of the device. And the shortcut buttons that they decided to put on here are actually all very, very useful. So contacts, calendar, email, web, that's all standard stuff. There's a Wi-Fi over here. There's even IM, shortcut to the music application. All very convenient, all very good. I also, as you may have seen earlier, I use SPB menu. Of course, that's what's building all of this. And that really goes a long way towards dealing with the complaints about having to use that little wonky stylus, because I almost never use the stylus with this device, because if I want to launch a program, I have a quick list up here of my most recents. I've got, these things set up with YouTube and Kinoma, which that's what I use for music playback, because that does YouTube and streaming radio and podcasts and all that stuff very, very well. I can get quickly into the different settings that I might want to go to. I can go and hit the G sensor and calibrate the G sensor if I really need to. You don't actually need to do that. And, reset the device if that comes up. Full on File Explorer. This is something that, this is Resco, and I'm a big fan of it, but there's plenty of others. And what's great is, in addition to it being a file explorer, it's also a registry editor, which, I enjoy. And you can also even browse FTP with it. There's plenty of FTP clients. There's plenty of VPN clients. There's plenty of remote desktop clients. That's the thing about Windows Mobile that I don't think gets a fair enough shake, is there are a ton of great applications, and I've only shown a handful of them. There's, of course, the Kinoma. I've already showed Opera. I use PocketTwit for my Twitter. And I use SPB for this thing. Google Maps is free. Live Search is free, and Live Search is better than Google Maps in at least one regard, in that it does turn-by-turn directions. So any Windows Mobile device that has GPS on it, you have a free application that does local search, movie times, weather, gas prices, all that stuff, and turn-by-turn directions. It's free download, wls.live.com, and boom. So that's worth pointing out. And honestly, I actually have a relatively small number of applications on this device compared to what a lot of other folks have. If we go through my applications list here, my programs list, under accessories, this is the standard stuff. I don't think I've even installed any games on it yet. Some config stuff, so I did some tweaking with it, and GooSync to sync to Google. You can also use Nueva Sync to do it over ActiveSync directly, which is very convenient. MilkSync to sync my to-dos. Live Search, of course, I've mentioned. Not all that much is installed on this thing, and yet I have managed to make it an incredibly functional device with just a handful of applications. And what I really like about Windows Mobile, and that I want to point out, is I have this experience. I have this touch experience. And, I've got a full keyboard that's slide out, so it feels like a very powerful, computer-esque device, and it doesn't slow me down, except that it's a two-handed device. But I can have an experience almost identical to this, very similar, with this Motorola Q9H. This device is, a year old, year and a half maybe even, and sure, the Today screen looks different, but if I go into my email, the email on this is just like the email on that. It feels exactly the same. I've got a lot of shortcut buttons to get to stuff, and some of the hacks on this work on this if I want to hack it away. And these devices, honestly, except for what you're looking at on the screen, they're very, very different, right? But they also have got sort of similar things. They've got nice big keyboards that are useful, and so on. And so the thing about Windows Mobile is you can pick your device, and I love that.